Hi, my name is Chalice LaRose. I'm the BSW Online Coordinator for the West Virginia University School of Social Work. In this video, I'll be covering the Bachelor of Social Work Online information session. If you have additional questions after reviewing this information session, you're more than welcome to email me at chalice.larose@mail.wvu.edu. That's CHALLICE.LAROSE@mail.wvu.edu. In this information session, I'll be covering a variety of topics, starting with why a BSW and why the West Virginia School of Social Work, the student supports offered to you through the university and our school, covering a few aspects about the curriculum and licensure, looking at the program as a whole and the types of enrollment that we offer, covering the important aspects of field education, and then getting into things such as the application requirements, deadlines for that, next steps if you apply and you're accepted, and cost and funding opportunities. So why a BSW? If you're watching this video, you're probably already thinking, I want to continue my education to become a social worker. So you probably already have that in mind. But a few things I'd like to note as well. According to the NASW Social Work Employment Outlook, there's a projected 16% growth in social work employment, which is faster than most other fields. Another thing I like to point out for students is with your BSW degree, you can complete an MSW degree at WVU in 1 year as a full-time student or 2 years as a part-time student. Having your BSW allows you to be advanced standing. So if you're looking at our MSW or even other MSWs and you see that language as advanced standing, that means you have your BSW within a certain amount of years. Usually it's like 7 years or so. But that allows you, if you're interested in furthering past your BSW to your MSW, having that BSW does allow you to essentially kind of shorten a program by about a year. One of the biggest things I like about the BSW degree is not only is it still very employable at the bachelor's level, we see that other degrees or other fields kind of are requiring higher and higher degrees. But at the BSW level, it's still very employable in the field. There are different job opportunities in really a variety of settings. Most people kind of think of public human service departments, like DHOS and things like that. But we're seeing a lot of growth and really one of the highest growth in the hospitals and other medical offices, so healthcare, social work. We can also find job opportunities in the court system and other kind of justice system related places, or juvenile justice, what have you. The public school system is another one that's growing pretty rapidly. Community action agencies, drug and alcohol programs, recovery programs, drug courts, stuff like that. Children and family services, kind of outside of the human services department necessarily, but other agencies that offer those services, and even expanding into sports teams, hiring social workers and veterinary offices. And of course, this is not an exhaustive list. There are many other places and different populations that social workers work with, and that's why I like it. Is it's very dynamic, and if you're not kind of siloed into working in one place or with one group of people or tackling one social problem, you can really have a wide range there. So why the WVU School of Social Work? We've been accredited by the CSWE, Council on Social Work Education, since 1974. So we've been celebrating over 50 years now. Any BSW program should be accredited by the CSWE. We're just kind of one of the longer standing ones in the state of West Virginia. As I mentioned on a previous slide, we have that MSW online program. We do have it on campus as well, and we have a PhD hybrid program for those who might be interested in that as well. Students are eligible for licensure in most states. Since it's an accredited degree, everyone's kind of taking the same licensure exam regardless of where you're graduating from. It allows students to be licensed in most states. I say most states because I believe it's about 3 states that just don't offer a bachelor's level license, but most others do. Another thing that we offer through the School of Social Work here at WVU is a high high-touch academic advising and support from the online coordinator, which is me. So I'm working with you prior to applying and then all the way through graduation. I will be your advisor and person you can go to with questions the whole time in the program. And one of the other things I really enjoy about our school is just how supportive and student-centered instructors are. They're really doing a lot of different things to engage with students, support them, have extra supports when needed, connect them to those resources, what have you. And then we also have a dedicated field team. So when you're going through that process, we have people that's just what they do, is work on field-related things. So you can have that support as well. Some of the student supports that either the university or our school offer, and this again is not an exhaustive list, so this is some ideas, but there's more out there as well. We will offer a comprehensive BSW orientation when you first start into the program. As I mentioned before, you have the consistent academic advisor from start to finish. We offer licensure prep, tutoring services. There's committees that we have as faculty that students are encouraged to engage with as well, whether that's on the committee or some of the activities that they may offer, trainings or panel discussions, what have you, most of which is done virtually or have a virtual option. We have an undergraduate social work organization you can join. And then through the university and our school or our college, we have a writing studio. We have career services that can help students with job readiness, whether that's interview skills, building up that resume, what have you. We have a dedicated social work librarian through the WVU Library Services that you can connect with. We also offer online therapy services through Talkspace. Our more on-campus counseling center, the Caruth Center, does offer virtual appointments and then has some contracts with telehealth, other agencies to extend beyond their kind of immediate response if needed. And then we have WVU that includes academic coaches for on-campus and online students as well. Now, looking at the curriculum with any BSW program, it's really focusing on that generalist practice. If you haven't heard that term before, you'll certainly hear it throughout your time in the program. What that means is we're preparing students to integrate micro, meso, and macro level practice skills across those various service sectors. So again, providing you with the skills so you can plug in at various agencies, working with various populations, working to address various social and human problems, and working in those interdisciplinary teams and multidisciplinary teams as well. And as I mentioned, graduating from our program does make you eligible to pursue social work licensure at that degree level, but states can have varying requirements for what that looks like. So I always recommend for students to check out the Association of Social Work Boards licensing and regulation website to just peruse their state requirements and see if there's anything else you may need to consider. Typically there's not, but I don't want to say that for every state. So if you have questions about that, you're more than welcome to reach out to me, and I can always kind of walk through that and take a look for you as well. And then lastly, I always encourage students to check out our technology requirements through our website. That just allows students to see, okay, what do I need to be successful in an online program outside of just, a computer. Now getting into the program. So the program as it stands is really designed for transfer students, whether that's from a transfer partner we have, or you just have about 58 to 60 credits completed at some point or from somewhere or multiple places. One thing I like to highlight is that we do offer in-state tuition through WVU Online, regardless of the state you live in. So you would pay the in-state tuition rate as if you lived in West Virginia, even if you don't. Our program is a fall admit only, with some wiggle room to have students admitted in the summer prior to that fall if some prerequisite courses are needed. But due to our kind of sequencing of courses, when they're offered, getting through field, what have you, we do generally start in the fall semester with, again, some students may need to start in that summer prior to complete prerequisite courses if needed. Something that's different about our program is that we do have our courses as kind of a blend of different modalities. Our courses are primarily what we call asynchronous, which means they're online. They're what you think of with online education, where everything's kind of there. You're working on things at your own pace. You have due dates to meet, of course, but you're not meeting for class at certain times. That's the majority of our courses. But then each semester we offer our methods class and one additional class in the final semester as a synchronous class over Zoom. So you don't have to come to Morgantown or anything, but you'll meet in the evenings on Zoom once a week for those methods classes each semester. So just one class in the evening a week. And with our previous cohorts, we've kept that date the same, our day of the week the same for the cohort, so you can plan around that while you're completing the program, and it's not kind of this, oh, is it going to be this day of the week next semester, or what have you. And then we will have our field education courses that you'll be taking. We'll have hybrid. It will be what we call hybrid, where they'll meet on Zoom once a month just to kind of check in, cover some important topics, reflect on experiences, some of that important stuff to process that with the instructor of the course. But that would be in the final year of the program and would be meeting once a month, not every week. A few other synchronous aspects that I like to point out to make students aware, of course, the field education component altogether. You'll be going to an agency, and I'll talk on that a little bit more specifically here in a second as well. And there's a few related meetings that will have Zoom meetings to cover a few topics related to field, to just really get everyone started and thinking about field and processing everything. So we're not just, here comes the August of your final year and you need to have field set up. And we don't. So our field teams are really good about staying on top of things, getting students slowly but surely prepared for field. So there's a meeting in the fall and then a couple meetings in the spring prior to that year that you're going to be completing field. And then the other synchronous aspects are our orientation that happens right before our classes start in August, and then academic advising once a semester with me. And of course, there's anytime you have other questions, we can meet on Zoom as well. Now, getting into our enrollment types, we do offer a full-time and a part-time version. The full-time is completed in 2 years. So if you're a transfer student, you're coming in with approximately 60 credits, you've essentially completed the first 2 years of a bachelor's program. So you just have the second 2 years left. And they'll primarily be in the social work core classes. There may be a few other things that we will take care of depending on how your credits transfer in. But that looks to be about 15 credits per semester, give or take, depending, again, how those credits transfer in. Typically, it's going to be one synchronous course a semester. I think we're going to have a social work elective that would be a synchronous course as well, that you would have the option to take in one semester. But then you would have just one synchronous course and then potentially that additional hybrid course of field when you're in that final year. But then the other courses would be asynchronous, completing online, self-paced, what have you. And then the part-time program is meant to keep you on track with our sequence and also get you through as quickly as possible. So that's completed in 3 years, but that includes 2 summer semesters. So that looks to be about 9 credits per fall and spring semester and 6 credits per summer semester. Again, this is give or take on those kind of summer semesters, depending on transfer credits. That's typically the one synchronous class, but I believe with the sequence, there is at least one semester where there is no synchronous class for the part-time version, just based on how it falls. And then, of course, those other classes would be asynchronous. As I mentioned, field education, really integral part of the professional social work curriculum. It's going to be a required aspect for any accredited social work program. It's allowing these cooperative relationships between the School of Social Work and field sites, and making sure students are getting that hands-on experience and applying those skills that you've learned. The Council on Social Work Education really views it as a signature pedagogy and just as important as the coursework you'll be taking in the bachelor's program. You'll probably hear the term generalist field experience or field education. That's what it's called for undergrad. As I mentioned before, we have our field office that students receive ongoing support from. They won't be hand picking placements for students in the program. They want some of that autonomy for the students in the online program, but also, if we may not have partnerships established yet in the area that you're coming from or the state that you're coming from. So it kind of they may rely on you as a student to come up with some ideas or some options for placements, and then they can reach out and establish that relationship and work with the agency to go through all the processes of doing that. But they'll be there to help you along the way. To kind of go as an overview of the field education course, again, like I said, it happens in your final year. So that would be the second year at full-time or the third year at part-time. It's completed over 2 semesters, so you're registering for that class in the fall and spring as well. Instead of all one semester, it's spread across 2. The requirement is 400 on-site hours, and then we have those hybrid meetings throughout the fall and spring as well, once a month. But that's about 18 to 22 hours per week. That total per week could be less if you're completing hours over breaks. So we've just calculated it as students take the break off. We're not going to ask or force students to complete hours over break, but most do, just that continuum while you're already at the agency, and also to kind of have that breakdown of hours per week be less. So that hours per week does not include the long winter break, Thanksgiving break, or spring break either. And then, as I mentioned before, there's a few additional meetings during the first year of the program or the second year if you're part-time. Meeting in the fall to get the field overview, do some reflection on service hours, what have you, and then meetings, virtual meetings in the spring to gear up, brief for the field, figure out what the kind of game plan is with that, to have everything set and ready for that coming fall semester. We do offer employer-based placements on a case-by-case basis. And if you have questions about field education or what employer-based placements might look like, I'm happy to connect you with our field director. If you just reach out to me, and I'll make sure I can connect you with her. Now, getting into the admissions requirements. So as I mentioned, this is designed as a transfer program. So students are coming in with either a completed associate's degree or at least 58-ish credits from a regionally accredited institution by the anticipated start of the fall semester. So this means you can be applying for this program while still completing that associate's degree or those credits, as long as that'll be done by the start of the fall. So I've even had students who were still completing those credits in the summer and had applied already, had been accepted. We're just completing that program and then, moving right into our program in the fall. With those credits, having at least 75% of our general education courses completed, a minimum cumulative 2.0 GPA that's required for any transfer student for any program, not just us. And then we do require a grade of C- or better in Social Work 147 and 151, again, by the anticipated start of the fall semester. If you're coming from a transfer partner program, you'll likely have one or both of those completed already. But if not, that's totally fine. We offer those online during the summer semester leading up. So again, as I mentioned, fall admit, but maybe some need for the summer to take summer classes. So if you don't have those classes, you can be admitted into the program, complete those classes in the summer, assuming great grades on those, then you just kind of roll right into the fall semester with us as well. So I try to stress to students that you can still apply to the program even if you're still working on other things, such as you still need those 2 classes in the summer, or you're still completing your associate's degree. As long as all of that would be done by the fall semester, please go ahead and apply. You don't need to wait to do that. Just a few more notes about transfer credits. If you have completed an associate's degree or even a bachelor's degree, you can waive all of the GEF requirements for the university. Those degrees allow you to waive those. We still have some other kind of general education courses in our core that may need to be completed based on transfer credit, but you would have kind of a green check mark for the general education courses that the university requires with that either previous bachelor's degree or associate's degree from a regionally accredited institution. If you're looking at transferring to our program from another bachelor's of social work program, we can definitely take a look at those higher level social work classes that you have. Our program director would just need the syllabi for those and work through what that might look like. If they're not a direct transfer, they would still be counted as electives, so those credits would still come with you. It just may not apply in a course that we're offering. Now, I know I've talked about transferring and being a transfer student, but I did want to provide a few ways that students can reach those credits or that associate's degree if you don't already have that. So a few options here, starting at a transfer partner or, kind of finishing, I guess, at a transfer partner. You can check out our current transfer partner list on our website. We're continuously expanding that list as we can around West Virginia, as well as neighboring states. So community colleges and community and technical colleges in the state of West Virginia and neighboring states as well. Some of those programs may be able to be completed remotely. I highlight one on here, the Human Services AAS at Blue Ridge CTC specifically, mainly because I ran that program prior to coming to WVU to run this program. So I can confidently say that students can complete that program remotely because I had students do that. That's not to say that our other transfer partners don't offer that. So I would always just recommend if you find a program on our transfer list that you're interested in or is maybe close to you, just reach out to them and see, hey, can I complete this remotely? If maybe you don't live close or you can't make it to classes, daytime, evening, what have you, you can always check with them. Also, I'd like to point out that some of our in-state transfer programs or transfer partners in their programs may qualify for the West Virginia Invest Grant, and that covers tuition and mandatory fees regardless of income. The Human Services AAS at Blue Ridge is included in that, but you can always check the West Virginia Invest Grant website to kind of cross-check if one of the other programs are on that list or not. And, I'm happy to help you look through that, or if you reach out to the transfer partner, that's something you can ask them as well. Another option would be to start at Potomac State College. That's part of the WVU system. They have their AA program, and their pre-social work courses are now all online. So you can kind of go ahead and jump into the WVU system through there. Or you can also go ahead and start at WVU Online. You can work on your GEFs, General Education Foundation courses, and other credits through our Multidisciplinary Studies, MDS, online major. And then once you're kind of ready, have enough credits built up, then we can always work through switching your major into the social work major. Now, looking at the application process, as of right now, it's a kind of a two-step process because we can't upload things into WVU Online. That may change, where you may be able to kind of upload our additional application document into that. But for right now, at the time of this recording, that's not a possibility yet. So the first step would be to complete the online application through WVU Online. I think it's pretty simple. And then you'll also have to send all of your official transcripts for any place that you've taken undergraduate coursework. That may just be one institution, or it may be a couple, just depending. The system's pretty good about notifying you of where they may need transcripts from. If you're currently enrolled at a 2-year or a 4-year school and looking at transferring, you will want to send your transcripts at the time of application. And then let's say you're still completing courses just this, in the spring or even through the summer or fall, whatever semester it might be that you're applying and that you're still taking courses there, you'll want to send that final transcript as well. So if you're applying in the fall, but you know that you're still working on your associates through the fall and the spring, then you would send your transcripts at the time of application and then send them again once you're completed the program there. You can always reach out to me if you have questions about that, but you will have to send the transcripts twice, one to get kind of through the system, and then another time to say, hey, I completed all these classes, please waive my GEFs, and then transfer all those credits over as well. There is a $20 application fee for residents of the state and a $50 application fee for non-residents of the state. And again, that's accurate as of the time of this recording. Those things may change. The second step is the BSW Professional Application. It's a fillable Word document. I'll cover that here in just a second, a little bit more in depth. But once you've completed that, you would email that document to bsw@mail.wvu.edu. I check that inbox, so I will see it and receive it as well. So again, 2 steps. You're applying to WVU online, submitting transcripts or requesting transcripts from anywhere you've completed undergraduate coursework, and then you're also completing our Word document and emailing that one in. So the BSW Professional Application is really our way of getting to know you as a student. Since you're not coming in as a freshman, we haven't had you in some of those prerequisite courses or haven't been advising you since that time. So it's really just a way of us to get to know you a little bit better. And some of the things for me to kind of figure out where you might fit in terms of, do we need summer classes? Can we go ahead and just start in the fall? Stuff like that. So the fillable document is really, it asks for some basic information. It asks for, how many credits have you completed? How many are you currently enrolled in or anticipate being enrolled in? Have you completed Social Work 151 and 147 or the equivalents from your transfer partner? If you have questions about that, I can definitely double check for you. But your advisor at your transfer where you're completing your associates, assuming it's a transfer partner, would have our articulation agreement they can look at and verify to let you know which courses those are that you've taken or will be taking through that program. We do ask for about a 2-paragraph personal essay. It doesn't need to be 2 pages or, it's not a grad school essay or anything, but, just at least 2 paragraphs. If it's a little bit more, that's fine too. But just why social work, population interest, what are your plans with getting the degree, what have you. The next question is asking, covering aspects about field again and how you can plan to accomplish that field education requirement while balancing everything else you've got going on. And then the last question on there is optional. It's really just a place that if there's any additional information that you'd like to share with the admissions committee, either something that will help us understand your situation better, or, I think my freshman year of undergrad was not good. My GPA would be much higher. I mean, it was solid. It was a solid undergrad GPA, but it would be much higher if I could just wipe that whole year off. So that might be something that I would explain that, as you can see on my transcripts, my grades greatly improved after I acclimated to college better. But again, any barriers you may have to work through, anything that would just help us know you a little bit better. And then the last part on there is just an acknowledgement that, everything you've shared is truthful and that you'll be emailing it over to the BSW email. Looking at application deadlines, February 1st is our priority deadline. If you complete the WVU online application, get your transcripts in and send over that BSW program professional application, by February 1st that and are accepted, that allows you to apply to any scholarships within the School of Social Work that we have that you might be eligible for. After that deadline, our final deadline is June 1st. So that gives us time to, if you need the summer classes, get registered for those, get started, get everything figured out, and then go through some of those other processes to get really started for the fall. So between February 1st and June 1st, those applications are reviewed on a rolling basis. If you apply before February 1st, we have some dates that we check on applications throughout that kind of fall and early winter. But after that, we review them as they come through June 1st. So the hard deadline, final deadline is June 1st. Now, what happens after, let's say you're accepted? You've applied, you're accepted. What are the next steps? You'll receive notification from WVU and then notification from me, an email from me about kind of next steps and, academic advising, getting ready for that and what have you. Definitely want to make sure we're completing the FAFSA and any other information that's needed, claiming accounts through the university, what have you. We would meet for academic advising for summer and or fall. Depending on when you apply, that might be not until March-ish, or, if you apply after kind of March or April, we would meet pretty quickly to make sure we're getting a seat in classes that we need. Another component is the completion of 50 human service hours. So this used to be a requirement for admission, and now we've kind of extended and allowed students to have more time to complete those hours. So it's something that you should be on your radar, maybe working on, maybe try and have done prior to starting the program, but that's not required. You have until the April prior to starting field. So if you're going to start field in the fall, like you're coming up on your final year, that April 1st before is when those hours would need to be completed. The service hours can be volunteered or can be paid. So if you're already working in the field, you can count those hours. If you've done an internship through your associate's degree, that probably could count as well. Or other volunteer hours, somewhere that's kind of human services related. It doesn't have to be something you're sitting one-on-one with clients and working with them and helping them. That's probably not going to happen anyway, at least until you're actually in the field. But, looking at kind of the agencies in your community that provide human service related things and seeing if they have volunteer opportunities for you to complete 50 hours there. If they're paid hours, we have a form for you to complete. If they are volunteer hours, you would submit that through our system. So you would be a student and you'd have access to that system. Even if the fall hasn't started, you would still have access to that system and you would input the information there, including kind of who supervised you while you were volunteering, and then they would get the information to then just verify that you completed the hours. So that's something we can talk about also throughout the process and after acceptance and all of that. But just want to make sure that's there and that you're aware of that. And then sometime in the summer, you'd have access to the orientation modules that are online through our eCampus system, which utilizes Blackboard as the LMS. Those would be some things to work through, some files to complete, reviewing the handbook. There's will be some helpful hints and tips in there to have a successful semester, first semester with us, what have you. And then we have a virtual orientation in August that students come to. It kind of will cover a few of the things in the online modules, but also the ability to meet other staff and faculty, hear from them about different things, and also meet your classmates in your cohort as well. Then in August, we would begin classes. And sometime in the fall semester, whether that's your first year at full-time or would be your second fall with us at part-time, you would attend the virtual field overview and reflection meetings that occur in the fall to get started with that process. As I mentioned with our tuition, the online tuition is the same cost for each student regardless of residency, and you can see the most up-to-date tuition cost through the WU Morgantown Online Undergraduate Tuition and Fees webpage. Those things can change, so I have that linked so you can access the most up-to-date tuition cost depending on when you're watching this recording. There is a additional $160 field fee each semester you're in field, so that fall and spring semester. That helps pay for our system that we use to help students log their hours, complete learning contracts, assessments, stuff like that. A much better system than just some, a paper trail. And then if you need to complete the FAFSA, make sure you're doing that as soon as possible after being accepted. And the WU's code for FAFSA is 003827. And lastly, looking at some funding opportunities, we have, as I've mentioned, the scholarships through the WU School of Social Work, which are available to on-campus and online students. You can see a list of those on our website, linked there for you as well. So applying fully by February 1st would allow you to qualify to apply for those scholarships that you meet the criteria for. Another funding opportunity that we have is the Title IV-E Child Welfare Training Program. That's for students who are interested in child welfare. Students either must be employed or at least could possibly be employed at the West Virginia Department of Human Services. And you also commit to completing your field education requirements with them in child welfare. It's available to both part-time and full-time students and provides in-state tuition coverage as well as a monthly stipend. If you would like more information on that, we have more information on our Title IV-E webpage for that. I can also connect you directly with our coordinator of that program as well, if you just let me know. And then I always encourage students to employ other options or explore other options such as employment. If you're currently employed, does your employer provide anything like that? I worked for the Children's Home Society of West Virginia prior to entering higher ed, and they helped fund my MSW. So always check those out. And then, of course, any military-based options that may be afforded to you as well. So that's all I have. Thank you for listening to all of this. Follow us on our social media pages. We post a lot, especially on Facebook and LinkedIn, whether that's kind of updates or highlighting faculty, highlighting students, things we've got going on. We've got this event happening. We've got this virtual prep session you can attend, things like that. And then, of course, our BSW email, bsw@mail.wu.edu. So if you lost my email address, you can always email that, and I will see that email. And that's also where you would be sending that BSW Professional Application Word document to as well. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. And thank you so much for watching, and hope to see you as a student in our program.